I am Jere B. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. I've been involved in music from the time that I can remember, and most recently, the last 10 years, it seems as if marketing has really taken control of the music industry, since record companies are not record companies anymore. Sony, BMG, Universal, the list goes on and on. It's really transformed to where today the biggest record company in the world is iTunes. And Steve Jobs did a wonderful job in transforming that before his recent death. One of the ways that Steve transformed the industry is not only by the digital delivery content, but he created the hardware in which that content will be played. And that was something that, you know, the record companies never had in their control. They were always in control of the artist and in the music that they produced and the distribution of that music, but never did they build the device on which that music could be delivered. So when Steve came out with the iPod, it just totally transformed everything. Then he went about negotiating licensing agreements with each record company, each major label, so that they can have their product downloaded to his hard drive. And I would say, and I don't want to get into too much of this, but I'm just trying to give you a little backdrop, but the negotiations that he made for percentages of artists really kind of cut the artists out of the table, out of the negotiating table. Just today being Saturday, just Thursday, there was an email that came over that Google Music launched. Yeah. And if you know anything about Google Music and the concentration of what they've been able to attain with buying YouTube and all of this, Google is really looking at eating, if they can, Steve Jobs' work at Apple. But the thing about it is, musicians are still in the fray. So my focus has always been on how do I make the most money or acquire the best percentage that I can as an independent musician. The dream of being signed by Sony or Warner Brothers, those childhood dreams that I had are absolutely gone. There's no reason for me even to think about that right now. What I have to do is make sure that my band, SounDoctrine, and the other bands that are marketed, which I'll show you in a second, through our multimedia label, Niayana, is that we're able to say, this is our vision, this is our purpose, this is our goal, and this is how we can attract the most dollars by going directly to the customer. And marketing is what does that for us, obviously. Mia is my 14-year-old daughter, now 14, and Nia is African for purpose. Ayana, if you take the A-Y-A-N-A, is my 11-year-old daughter, and that's African for beautiful flower. So I smashed their names together and came up with the name for the label. I have an older daughter who is getting her PhD now at Drew University down in Madison, New Jersey, and my publishing company is named after her. So it keeps me grounded. This is why I need to be succeeding, because I have 3 wonderful daughters and my beautiful wife, Lori, well, she's my password in certain things. So anyway, that's that. But these are the artists that we have on the Niayana label. Allison Thomas from Louisville, Ohio. She's a praise and worship artist. Philip K. Jones, who has 4 CDs out now. He's a jazz pop artist. He got his degree in music from Oberlin University. He's a master musician, jazz musician. And because he's so steeped in the church and the black traditional church choirs and does a lot of arrangement, we came up with a genre for him called jazz pop. And so that's how we're marketing Philip K. Jones. And we thought we were being original, but there were 8 other jazz pool artists that were out there. But that's the realm that we're trying to penetrate with him. Up to the top with the glasses on, Jim Kokenauer from Columbiana, Ohio. Since January of 2008, Jim has had 10 of his compositions on the Weather Channel. Jim is not interested in going on stage and touring, and we do have some showcases that he has, quote unquote, had to play, because that's the marketing mix to make sure that people are getting a first-hand view of your music. But Jim is not interested in actually going on tour or doing anything like that. But from his little basement in Columbiana, Ohio, in his home studio, we have been able to partner with the Weather Channel, and since January of 2008, he has had 10 compositions rotating on the Weather Channel. So you know how they play weather whether they call it jazz on the 8s or music on the 8s, and they're playing local music, you will hear Jim Kokenauer. And he also performed with SounDoctrine and helped really change, now I'll talk about SounDoctrine in a minute, but really helped to change our fusion. He put more melody into our fusion, and I'll tell you what we call our marketing mix in a minute. Joe Thomas is another praise and worship artist out of Coatesville, Ohio. We have Divine Soldiers, who's a holy hip-hop group from Akron, Ohio. And those of you who have your phones, you can get online right now. If you went to rapzilla.com, Divine Soldiers is on the cover of that magazine. And they're really doing major things. They're releasing their 4th CD. That's going to come out after January 21st. But there's a track called Hood Track that just came out last Thursday that you can go to divinesoldiers.com and download for free. And then, of course, there's SounDoctrine. We'll talk about them most because that's where I got the most nosebleeds and bumped my head as far as marketing is concerned. Over here is all of the music that I'm called to represent and to market. So I got to know which hat I'm wearing at what time. Am I marketing Jim Kokenauer? Well, that's a totally different hat for that. Am I marketing Allison Thomas? And so these are all of our CDs. And for those of you who are very curious, yes, I did bring product for sale. Marketing on and offline. I was talking to my marketing director. His name is Ross Lytle. And I was telling him that I had put together this presentation for this workshop I was going to be doing on Saturday. This was Wednesday night. And Ross and I are always talking about the different books that we are reading and whatnot. And he said, well, you might want to take this book with you. It's called The Old Rules of Marketing Are Dead. He just finished reading this book. So probably half of what we talk about today is going to be obsolete, okay? But marketing is changing all the time. And so what I wanted to concentrate on this morning is not necessarily the tools of marketing in the sense that you go 1, 2, 3. Because again, that model is dying and it's gone. Again, like I said, with respect to Niayana, when I had it, we used to call it a record label. You can't call it a record label anymore. It's a multimedia label. Our focus is on more audio than it is visual, but you have to take in the visual, you have to take in the performances, you have to take in the YouTube hits that you get, because now when we get to YouTube, you can monetize your videos. So you can actually partner with Google in that they will pay you a few pennies for the hits that you're getting. So everything is changing all the time. What I wanted to do is just really concentrate on the underbelly of marketing, and that's pounding your P's. Now there's 5 P's that says poor planning prevents positive performance, but those are not the P's we're going to talk about today. The 5 P's that we're going to talk about is purpose, planning, perseverance, processing, and of course prosperity. The first one is purpose. Why am I marketing? Why did I embark upon this marketing campaign? What are my goals? And I have to really sit down and make sure that I know exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. I also have to know who I'm marketing to. There are 2 aspects of it. One being my target market. You know, am I in the lifestyle marketing? Who are the customers or who are my consumer that is going to purchase my product or engage in my service? And what is their demographic? And there's this book, I would encourage you to get it, called Psychography, which marketing has been placed on, not just if they live in Omaha or if they live in Pittsburgh or if they live in Youngstown, but what is their favorite color? What is their favorite shapes? What industry are they involved in? Are they nurses? Are they doctors? For example, Jim Kokenauer, really interested in our marketing research with him because Jim, behind the scenes, he works at Kogan Industries as a marketing director. The second thing is he's an avid hunter and an avid fisherman, okay? So now, his music, we have to make sure that we are placing him in those hunters magazines and those fishing magazines because this is lifestyle marketing that's coming about. People who enjoy that sport or those hobbies may enjoy that type of music, and we're moving him toward that market. And when do I begin or end a campaign? Some marketing campaigns can be 3 weeks, they can be 3 months, they can be 3 years. My campaign is never ending because, again, I need to be wearing different hats. My marketing campaign for myself is always ongoing, and I'll explain that a little bit when we get into branding. The second thing is planning. Who's on my team? You got to have a team. I thought for the first 5 years that I was putting this company together that I was a lone ranger, that I could do it all. Oh man, what a pit I fell into many, many times, because there's only 24 hours in a day, and I needed 28 to make sure that everything was happening, plus with my other responsibilities of being a husband and a father. And you know, it's not in my personal interest, it's not my core to miss my daughter's basketball game. It's not my core to sit down and have that family time that's definitely necessary, because I remember when my daughter was 14 months old, now she's 14 years old. So there are things that I needed to do, so I put a team together, and you know, there are people who help me with what I don't know about marketing. I have a marketing director, I have an attorney, I have a business manager. My business manager, Donna Biscardi, is actually a registered nurse. She knows nothing about the music industry. However, she's ran several companies. So the things that I don't know about just business 101, making sure my T's are crossed, my I's are dotted, my commas are in the right place business-wise, Donna helps me out a lot with respect to that. And then we also have an accountant who kicks my butt every 6 months. And it's very painful, I must explain to you. Sometimes I can't sit down. But he will tell me, you know, the shows that you're doing, you're getting ready to travel here, you're getting ready to do that, you might as well stay at home and microwave popcorn, because this is not working out. It's not making you any money. So you need a team together. You need to understand what's my budget. And again, how many dollars do I have, or how many, you know, what are my resources? If it doesn't cost any money, what resources do I have in place that I can get from A to B with no problem? And then where's my territory? We talked about lifestyle marketing a little bit. Our territory, SounDoctrine, our territory is Greater Ohio, Youngstown, Akron, Canton, Cleveland, and we're just starting to penetrate Pittsburgh. But it's interesting because we've played Baltimore, D.C. for the past 6 years steady. And it's almost like Baltimore is our second home. But there's something about the chemistry and the electricity and the networking that we were able to do that we've passed up Pittsburgh many, many years, and now we're just trying to find out, okay, what is this place that we've been kind of passing over as we travel Route 76 to go to Breezewood and get us into Baltimore. So what's our geographic territory that we want to penetrate? That's got to be a part of your marketing mix. Perseverance. How much stamina do I need? Last night I was in Cleveland, Ohio, because Philip K. Jones just released his Christmas, a gospel Christmas CD, and so he had the CD release concert last night up at a church in University Circle, and who has to be there? Well, I'm the president of the company, you know? So I got to be there, and then I knew that I had to get up at 5 o'clock to make sure that my T's were crossed, I's were dotted to get to Pittsburgh. This takes a lot of stamina. Sometimes you might think, well, you know, I just don't have it, because if you're going to put a release out, then there's a lot of planning that's involved, and how many journalists do I have to talk to? How many times do I have to travel to a particular city to do an interview? Now things have gotten easier because of Skype, of course, and you can do a Skype interview. Well, that's very cool. But then I got to go, right after the interview, I got to go out on stage and I got to perform for 2 hours. Well, after I perform, I can't just pack up my drums and leave, because my audience wants to talk to me. And SounDoctrine is the type of band that we just don't run off. We want that one-on-one engagement, because that's very important. There's people who you want to take your music home with you, so you have to build relationships. So you're the last one there. You know, so how much stamina does it take? Because that's what you're going to need. Who's my competition? What resistance do I have? Well, our competition, and I used to look at this on a small level, my competition were the bands that I thought were on my level. And my accountant taught me, your competition is Gerald Albright. Your competition is Kirk Whalum. These are guys that are way up here in my mind. Your competition is Bob James. You got to look at these people as being your competition, because why? God has $10 in his hand. A lady has $10 in her hand. Here's Bob James' CD. Here's SounDoctrine CD. What are you, what are they going to do? What are you going to do to convince them that they need to buy your CD over theirs? So I had to raise my level of perception to look at who my competition actually is. If I kept it down here, I felt pretty good about myself. Well, that's this person or that band, in Cleveland or Akron. Yeah, and we can hold our own against them. But when we got down to the 2006 Capitol Jazz Fest, stakes got a lot higher. So we had to come in. You understand what I mean? So you got to know that. What's my knowledge? What's my basic knowledge of the industry I'm in? What's my God-given gifts and talents? What are the skills and creativity that I needed? I had to figure this out in like 3 minutes because, oh my God, what skills do I have? So I had to sit down and actually learn the computer. I had to know what I didn't know and try to learn it, or make some phone calls and get some tutorials from people who did know what's happening so that you can come into a situation and still give a presentation that you've never seen the system before. It's definitely necessary. And then what is my level of creativity? I'm going to show you a flow chart later. We'll talk about that. And what am I continually learning? I'm always reading. There's always something to know. There's always something to digest. Now, here's 2 levels of thought in marketing. One is specialized. That means I only grasp this. This is all I need to know. Boom, do that. And then the other one is know a little bit about a lot of things. Well, I kind of fall into this camp. I'm not a specialist. I don't know all the answers, but I know how to make a phone call and find out who does so that they can help me. And I need to be able to talk about certain genres of music, certain levels of other industries that are going to help me. So I need to know a lot or a little bit about a lot of different topics that help me in my marketing mix. Make sense? Yeah. Everybody's kind of quiet. I know, listening.
You're so profound.
Wow, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Processing. What time is it? Again, we talked about